I think it's pretty disgusting and gross for someone like Hassan, a rich, bougie millionaire in Hollywood, to just be so immensely openly dismissive of this guy and his experiences, as opposed to just trying to understand where this guy's coming from and what he's talking about. You don't have to agree with everything he says, but I think he owes that much.
I even think I heard Tim Pool talking about this song being some point in favor of the right wing for winning the culture war, which I don't necessarily understand how that is.
I think it's equally gross if Tim is coming out here and trying to say, do some victory laps for the right wing or something. I don't, to me, that shows that your brain has been consumed with like the culture war and the debate and all this shit, as opposed to, we have to remember at the end of the day, there's a human cost to all of the politics that we talk about and cover.
For Queens Park farmers being the most subsidized American industry, I mean, he's not even a farmer. He very much, most likely, if he lives in Appalachia, which he seems to be living in Appalachia, he probably does not have a job. Like many people in that region don't have a job because they used to work in coal mines and no longer can work in coal mines because of automation or because, woke liberalism has eviscerated the coal mining industry. It's just like, living in Alabama right now, and everyone here has a boner for this song. Let me pick up my banjo.
Okay, well, okay, wait. So there's a lot to talk about here.
Whoa.
Okay. Whoa. Okay. So first of all, you can go look up this guy's story because it is kind of interesting, and I'll read it to you in a second. But secondly, okay, he said that the reason, he said that the reason that the coal mine industry is going down now is because of automation.
Right?
Is that true? I feel like that's not true.
I
Like,
don't
they don't
know.
have robots mining coal, right?
Well, I bet they do, to be honest with you.
Well, I mean, maybe, but not to the extent, like, I don't think that's why the jobs are going down. I thought the jobs are going down because we're trying to not use coal as much anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
I
I've never
don't
looked
know.
into
Yeah,
this,
look,
but is
I'm
that
just
true?
guessing. I have no idea.
Okay.
I never looked into any of this stuff.
Because, so whatever the reason is, it would be dishonest for Hassan to pretend like there has not been a big push from the left, if the left got its way, to move off of coal mining, obviously.
Right. Yeah, no.
I mean,
the left wants mining to go away. Period.
Right. I mean, we saw that this is the origin of the learn to code thing, was they were like, oh, have all these coal miners not mine coal, have them learn to program, have them learn to code. That was the origin of that.
Right.
So, okay. But anyway, so there's a New York Post article. It's kind of interesting. It says, who is Oliver Anthony? This is this story, which Hassan, I guess, couldn't have been bothered to look up, right? And to give a crap about this guy before he kind of slanders the crap out of him. Okay. His real name is Christopher Anthony Lusford. His grandfather's name was Oliver Anthony. And he says the song is dedicated to his grandfather, who was born and raised in 1930s Appalachia. And he said he described his grandfather's life as a dirt floor, 7 kids, and hard times. Now, what is his story? Anthony grew up in North Carolina. He dropped out of high school at the age of 17 in 2010 and got his GED while living in a small town in Spruce Pine, North Carolina. In Western North Carolina, he worked multiple plant jobs, his last being a McDowell County paper mill. And he said that he worked the third shift 6 days a week for $14.50 an hour in a living hell.
Wow.
Okay.
That sucks.
Yeah. So definitely a man
working class
who's experienced, the hardships of such things. In 2013, Anthony suffered a bad fall at work and fractured his skull, which led him to moving to Virginia to be near his family. Due to complications from injury, it took him 6 months or so before he could work again, he says. After he recovered, he worked in outside sales in industrial manufacturing, taking him all over Virginia and into the Carolinas, getting to know tens of thousands of other blue-collar workers on job sites and in factories. He says, I spent all day, every day for the last 10 years hearing the same story. People are so damn tired of being neglected, divided, and manipulated. So from that job, Right. Okay. So he's definitely working class. Not only is he working class, and he worked literally, as a factory worker for years, and then afterwards, when he was working in sales, he literally went around these various states, hearing the same story from all these other working class individuals. Someone you think Hasan should be sympathetic to,
Yeah.
but no,
The
obviously not.
this is a proletariat guy, right?
You would think, but no, he has the wrong ideas about some politics. So
Right.
in 2019, he saved up money and he paid $97,000 for property, and yet he still owes $60,000 on it. It's the property he's living on currently, which is 90 acres in Virginia that he plans to. He
90
wanted to
acres? I'm
90
moving
acres.
to Virginia.
Well, that's what's funny, because people were saying like, "Oh my God, he has 90 acres. He must be rich," not understanding that you can buy a lot of land in very rural places for very, very cheap.
Yeah.
Yes.
My
He was
grandfather did something like this, and I mean, it was my duty to explore all of his property,
right.
which I did try to do as a kid, but obviously, look, he had 60 acres. You just like
Right. Right.
you can't do it.
Yeah, he's able to get 90 acres for 160K. He still owes 60K on it. His goal was to eventually raise cattle, I believe. Um,
Wow.
but
Okay.
but he's not living the life of luxury, because apparently all of his money has gone to the property, because he says he's living in a 27-foot camper with a tarp on the roof that he bought off Craigslist for $750.
A
Okay.
tarp?
A tarp.
That's an expensive tarp.
No, as a 71-foot camper with a tarp.
Oh, okay.
So
He
it's a
bought the
camper.
camper for $750.
Yeah, so it's obviously
Okay.
not a camper in a great condition if it costs $750.
Was it? I hope they threw the tarp in for free.
Right, right. Um, he also says that he just considers himself as some idiot with a guitar. I'm not a good musician and I'm not a good person. I spent the last 5 years struggling with mental health and using alcohol to drown it. I'm sad to see the world and state it's in, with everyone fighting with each other. I've spent many nights feeling hopeless. The greatest country on earth is quickly fading away. So, and he
Wow.
says, I wrote the music because I'm suffering with mental health and depression. These songs have connected with millions of people on such a deep level because they're being sung by someone feeling the words in the very moment that they were being sung. No editing, no agent, no bullshit. So anyway, so that's his story. So whether you like the song, hate the song, whether you agree with the politics of the song or not, I think it's pretty disgusting and gross for someone like Hasan, a rich, bougie millionaire in Hollywood, to just be so immensely openly dismissive of this guy and his experiences in the world, as opposed to trying to, and just, calling him a retard and calling him a weirdo, as opposed to just trying to understand where this guy's coming from and what he's talking about. You don't have to agree with everything he says, but I think he owes that much.
Hassan's whole brand is just dunking on people, though. Like
Right.
his brand is not really about empathizing with others or trying to come to some rational understanding of other people in his immediate vicinity.
Right.
Yeah, it's very sad, but I agree with you. Yeah, it sounds like he's got a story to tell, and obviously that's why people are moved by this. A lot of it
Right.
is the song. The song is very good. The song is very catchy. You hear it and you can't really stop thinking about it. And it does have this working class message that I think, obviously, if you're a working class person, you can relate to, because you feel it.
Of
You feel it
course.
in your bones. You've
Right.
felt this struggle yourself. I worked in a factory. I know it
Right.
sucks. Man, I
Right.
hated my life when I worked in a factory. It was awful. So it does touch those kind of intuitions inside of me as well. I'm sure it does in other people. And if people can relate to other people who are working very hard and feel somewhat sympathetic towards them. So I'm sure even people who are like blue collar or not, or white collar accountants and lawyers and stuff like that, can listen to the song and think, yeah, it sucks for those people.
Yeah. And to me, the interesting thing is like, even if you disagreed with this guy's politics, you would hear his song and you would be sympathetic to what he's experienced. You should be sympathetic to what other Americans have experienced in these conditions, and reach out to them and say, okay, like maybe we can, maybe even if you're doing it cynically, just say, okay, maybe I can convince you, right, of my economic policies, my economic prescriptions, my politics, right? But instead, it's interesting to me that people like Hasan and a lot of other, content creators on the left, they don't look at it like that way. They don't even look at it as a way to try to like open a conversation. They just look at it like this is a person who is conflicting with my political message, right? They're going to steal my viewers away. They're going to siren call my, mindless zombies away from my socialist message into their political message, as opposed to seeing this as like a way to build a bridge between, a divided country.
Isn't that lame?
It's pathetic and it's lame and it's gross.
Yeah, it is very pathetic.
Twitter sucks for $20 says Oliver Anthony is proof that gingers do have a soul. There you go. That is true.
I think he mentions that in a video I watched.
Nice.
I found the video that was sent to me about him being a centrist. So, but I didn't. I saw another one, and I can't find it in my DMs. But there was one that he went on Fox News or something,
Mm-hmm.
and I think they were upset about. Well, they wanted to claim him as the right winger. Look, we're winning the culture war. I even think I heard Tim Pool talking about this song being some point in favor of the right wing for winning the culture war, which I don't necessarily understand how that is.
Well, and I agree. I think it's equally gross if Tim is coming out here and trying to say, do some victory laps for the right wing or something. I don't. To me, that shows that your brain has been rotted by, or consumed, I guess I should say, to be a little bit nicer. Your brain has been consumed with like the culture war and the debate and all this shit, as opposed to, you have to remember at the end of the day, there's a human cost to all of the politics that we talk about and cover. And there's a real physical thing that people are experiencing in the world that is harming them. And this really, to me, should be a moment where people on the left and right can kind of gain some semblance of understanding and empathy for each other and use this as a moment to sort of, try to bridge the divide, as opposed to, the left shitting on this or the right trying to do victory laps saying we've won the culture war or something. So
all the smart people I know are really discouraged because they want people to unite under economic issues as kind of this income inequality is getting out of hand and we need to do something about it.
Right. So you think they'd be happy about this?
Yes. This would look like a giant opportunity.
Yeah.
I think Hasan claims to be one of those people, right?
Yeah.
Who wants to unite people under economic issues.
Right.
But really, he's just here to dunk on other people and protect his social media flock.
Right.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Libertarian Sasquatch for $20 says, ditto to what Sitch said. Also, I think what scares a lot of lefties when they picture a conservative in their mind, they picture a guy just like Oliver, and it's scary that he could have a powerful message. Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think a lot of it is like they have this image of like the evil white racist guy that they don't like, and then they see that in Oliver, and then they hear him say things that like they would agree with, like their emotions go out of control. They go, "Oh, I should feel disgusted, but I like this. What's happening? I'm so confused."
That is an excellent point. That is an excellent point. They want to use the greedy racist stereotype. They're like, look, this guy's from Appalachia. We voted for Trump. Greedy racist. Right?
Right.
But then he sings a song and you're like, well, that's not really greedy or racist. What the hell is going on here?
Twitter sucks for $20 says, it's absolutely insane to me that being critical of your government is considered right-wing when Antifa exists. How is any of this right-wing? Well, that's interesting. That's actually a really good point. And I guess the way that they would perceive it is it's what are you critical of the government for doing and what is the end goal that you're advocating for? So like, because from Antifa's perspective, they say, oh, we don't like the government because the government is an oppressive white supremacy that wants to keep down minorities and poor people. And the solution is socialism, right? And then the right-wing prescription might be, oh, well, we don't like the government because the government is keeping down poor people. That's what the populists would say. Keeping down poor people by, corruption, deep state, government interference in the free market, blah, blah, blah. And also, the government, just doesn't like Republicans and conservatives, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the solution is to get, less government in our lives and have more of like a capitalist free market system if you're a libertarian. I don't know
That
exactly
sounds about right.
I don't know what the right-wing populist economic future looks like, and so even though both criticizing the government, they're kind of criticizing it for different reasons and they have different outcomes. So like you never see Antifa would never complain about welfare abuse because from the left-wing Antifa perspective, they want more people to have access to welfare, not less. So
They want everyone on welfare forever.
Sure. Right,
Yeah.
right.
That's their chief goal. Whenever I bring up UBI, they're like, but what about welfare? How do we keep people on welfare?
Right.
Isn't that the stupidest thing? It's so crazy. It's like, wait, you're basically going to give everyone money. Yeah, but they need the welfare too.
Right.
Well, no, they won't be poor anymore. They'll have a basic income.
Mm-hmm.
But what about the welfare? They think it's some secret plot to get everyone off of welfare or something.
Twitter sucks for $20 says, quote, he's not even a farmer, quote, okay, so wait, Hasan, can people only talk about certain issues if they fit that category group? So you as a filthy rich asshat have no right to talk about the issues of poor people. True.
It is true.
Twitter sucks for $20 says, but this is why the left makes no sense. They want to move away from fascism while begging the Democrats to put a damn ring on it. You'll pay for that ring. Interesting.
True. Yeah. They want to move away from fascism right into fascism.
Right. Yeah.
Right into that one party state.
Well, it's actually very interesting because maybe we'll watch. I don't know if we'll watch after this at some point. The video I originally wanted to watch from Hasan was not this video. He had a video that he put out yesterday that's totally insane. It was about, it's like Hasan saying like why he hates liberals. There's some area in California that's kind of upper, that's like a wealthy area. And the local government wanted to build they want to convert some hotel into a homeless shelter or homeless facility or something.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people who all live there like lost their minds and they got very upset by this for a multitude of reasons. And Hasan literally in the video talks about this is why he doesn't like direct democracy. He thinks the government should just do all these things and the people that live there should just have no say in it. He literally says this, by the way. He thinks the government should just do things and people that live there should just not have a say in it.
How is that not fascism?
And I'm listening to this. I'm like, this is so funny. Like the mask comes off. This is what's so funny with all these socialists, the quote libertarian socialists. Like, I don't believe any of these fucking libertarian socialists who are like, oh, I want like the stateless, no government. We all live in the co-ops. Like, yeah, I fucking bet, right? That's bullshit. Because at the end of the day, you want this stuff to be forced upon people. And
they're authoritarians.
Yeah, it's going to require some authoritarian government essentially to do it. And that's why these socialist countries always end up becoming authoritarian countries.
They're no different than the theocrats that they always chastise.
Or the fascists, yeah.
Yeah.
Cry because motherfuckers out here getting snapped. Yeah, bro, if you're that poor, if you're a poor guy living in this region, how in the ever-loving fuck are you shitting on other poor guys? You're literally like, oh, man, I hate the rich people defending pedophiles. Fine, on board with that message. That's good. And then,
oh, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
At very least.
Immediately, he's like, you know who's real bad? A different kind of poor guy. I hate how poor I am and how the rich have fucked me over. But you know what I hate more than that? A different kind of poor guy. Poor guy down the street. How is this any different? I talk about this all the time about like the most American thing you can do is be a fat guy and shit on a guy that's like slightly fatter than you, like Donald Trump does with Chris Christie. It's so funny that this is like the white Lizzo version of that, where he's like, oh man, I hate how fucking poor I am, but like other people that are also poor, fuck those guys.
So first
he
of all,
doesn't understand what's going on here.
He doesn't understand what's going on. So first of all, we'll kind of work in reverse order here. It's not an American thing, that tendency to be like, I'm the poor person shitting on the more poor person, the fat person shitting on the more fat person. That's not an American thing. That is just like a human behavior. everyone wants a scapegoat or something to blame on, right? But kind of
Not
backing up,
me.
that's because you're an enlightened centrist, okay? But kind of going back to the more important point that he's failing to understand it and to see in this kind of tirade. Well, first of all, I just think it's interesting that like there's all these lyrics to the song, and Hasan hones in on the one part, like the one line that he doesn't like. And this is going to be the fixation for why the whole song sucks, right? The whole rest of the song could be about the struggles of working class. And he has one line here, and that's all that Hasan's going to focus on, number one. And then number two, the issue is, and you can criticize this, you cannot agree with this, but at least don't strawman the position. It's not that he's saying, I'm poor, let's attack other poor people. From his perception, he's saying, I and other people are working, and we're working poor, and it's unfair that there are people out there who are not working, that are sitting on their ass all day, and they're getting government assistance. And because I'm working poor, I'm essentially paying for them because I'm getting taxed by the government, and that tax money is going to help pay for people that are sitting around doing nothing. That's what he's complaining about.
Oh, that's so awful.
Right.
It's
Now,
a fate worse than death right there.
of course. And that's now you can make an argument that you think that doesn't happen, or you think that if it does happen, it doesn't happen to an extent that meaningfully has some financial impact on something, right? And that would be Hasan's job. If he wants to push back against his narrative, he can say, well, this is why I don't think this is really an issue, right? But instead, he doesn't. He creates this ridiculous straw man about how, oh, he's just a poor person that hates other poor people to make himself feel better.
Right.
Which,
Well, I mean, if it's a poor person that's you're paying for their fudge rounds and they're just
Sure.
slacking off all the time. I mean, I feel like you should hate that person. The moral thing to do is to hate that person.
yeah, of course. Like, when I read the article that was about his life story, it's like with the exception of when he fractured his skull, it seems like he's been working his whole life. So obviously, if you're a person who's been working your whole life, you would be very upset emotionally and morally. It seems greatly unfair, does it not, that you would have to pay for someone who isn't working.
Right. Yeah.
It's interesting because it shows like that's kind of the disconnect between the left and the right, is that the left doesn't understand the moral component that the right sees about the unfairness of people that are not working and still receiving assistance when they have been working themselves.
They
Now,
understand it when you talk about a rich CEO, though. They're like, oh, they're lazy.
Right.
They're totally superfluous.
Of course, right? Yeah. Now, because the left wing narrative, because I've heard this for years, the left wing narrative, the way that they interpret this is that, and this did happen. Like Reagan did do this, so this did happen to an extent. But the left wing narrative is, the Republicans are just like trying to say, hey, poor white people, the reason you're poor is because the government is taking all your money and giving it to poor black people who are just sitting around not working.
Right.
Like that's the narrative. And if you want to push back on that narrative, Hasan, then just explain it. Actually dig into the argument and explain it. But I mean, he's not really interested because he just wants to show his audience why this person is on like the wrong team. So
I don't think much thinking or research or any of that goes into these Hasan streams because he streams like 10 hours a day. When can he do the research? I mean, he could do it. What do you mean?
You do it while you're streaming. You have 10 hours to fill.
Look, he could do it while he's streaming.
Mm-hmm.
But look, we see the streams. He's not doing that.
Yeah.
You can see, obviously, he's not. Yeah.
Right. But I mean, even, with like Destiny, he'll go and he'll research on stream. So you can kind of learn alongside of him or something, right? Like you have all this time. And if I start streaming regularly, that's what the stream would be. It would be talking about some issue, some current events issue. And I say, well, let's try to find the answer here on stream live. Let's kind of look into this and get to the bottom of this, right? So we can have an informed decision.
We've done it on many streams. Hi, you just listened to a clip from the Sitch and Adams show. If you like what you heard, you can listen to our live show right here on this channel on Sunday, starting at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. And if you want, you can super chat us. We read $20 and up super chats on the show and then do a follow-up stream on the following Tuesday where we read the rest of the unread super chats and interact with fans of the show. Subscribe to this channel right here to listen to the live show or to listen to more of our awesome clips.